Welcome.
To the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 317 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. We're going to be hacking on some Firefox stuff today. It's going to be great. We're going to be looking at some patches, going to be trying to fix some stuff up. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's get started. We'll start by sharing my screen. Hold on. There it is. Today's February 22nd, 2023, episode 317. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I kind of know what I want to do today. I have a general sense of the trajectory of this episode, but I don't actually know how things are gonna go. Like last week, I thought we were gonna write tests for the Windows jump list stuff, and then we ended up doing favicon stuff for it instead. This week, I thought maybe we'd start with tests, but now we have to wait. In the background, I've got a compile running because I forgot to compile, so that's running. So we might have to find some stuff to do in the meantime. But, you know, we're just going to roll with it. We'll figure it out as we go. That's the whole point of this series, and we'll find our way forward. That's the first thing. The second thing is there is an agenda that you can have access to. If you're watching this on YouTube or diode.zone, you can check the video description down below. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, it's over there in the details section. And if you're watching this on Twitch, then it's down below in like the channel details. There'll be a link to the agenda. There's also a link to the Rate This Episode form, which you can use to let me know what you thought of this episode when it's done. Every episode has one of those forms. And if you're watching this on like the YouTube playback, just check out the description and you'll find the link on each video and how you can give me feedback on each episode. There's also an episode guide. If you haven't heard of the episode guide, I'm going to take a moment to plug the episode guide. So the episode guide is completely viewer-driven. It's something that viewers just like you contribute to and help grow and make and enrich. A special shout out to Smurf D, who is, I'd say, the most prolific contributor to the episode guide. That's a way of finding out maybe what's happened in previous episodes without necessarily having to watch those episodes. You know, it usually has a copy of the agenda, but also links to the videos and maybe additional context on what I covered that maybe didn't get put into the agenda, that sort of thing. So check out the episode guide, and if you yourself want to contribute to the episode guide, you're more than welcome to, either for this episode or a past episode or for a future episode. Send me a pull request to the repository. The episode guide is hosted on GitHub. I'm very, I'm not too picky about the sorts of things that I merge in, so go ahead. If we think it's useful, we'll merge it in. So if you've got your own corrections, addenda, you want to expand on something, you want to, fill in some details on something maybe that I glossed over, that's a great opportunity. You can do that with a pull request to the repository. And if you're not sure what a pull request or a repository is, follow these links in the agenda here, and they will do their best to explain to you what's going on. So, speaking of what's going on, what are we doing today? Well, like I said, I thought we'd get back to the Windows jump list stuff, specifically the automated testing part. Yes, we also wanted to handle the URL removal stuff. We were going to look at that. And re-entry to build list. But I wanted to start getting into the idea of testing. Maybe we do want to do these things first before we start getting into testing. We do have a plan for testing. We had come up with that, I think, 2 episodes ago. But I think maybe let's do these sorts of things first to sort of like solidify our understanding of this whole ecosystem of code, and then we can work on our tests. Let's see how our build is going, though, in the background. We're at the point where we're building security in Toolkit. Toolkit's a good sign. A lot of the build, this is a pro tip for anyone who builds Mozilla Central. It uses multiple threads, thankfully, to build, and so it's going to saturate all your cores and do all the builds, but generally speaking, it does it in alphabetical order, roughly. So when you start seeing Toolkit and URI loader and widget, that's good. You're heading towards the end of the directory because those are that's the end of the alphabet. Now, that's not always true. We've got a couple of other things that are, I think, they have build dependencies that happen later on, like some stuff in network and accessible. And then this is the last step. We're actually nearing the end of the build. We're actually linking Zool.dll. That's done. We're done the hardest part of the build. So that's good. We might actually get to work on this stuff pretty soon. Yeah, what did I want to do? We want to look at starting with the URL removal case. So recall that whenever you... Here, let me open up Sublime. Recall whenever you right-click on the Firefox icon on Windows, will show not only the list of actions that you can perform, like you can open a new window or that sort of thing. We also show a list of frequent sites that you visit. Right now, mine's broken on my current build, and for some reason it's showing recent as opposed to frequent. I don't know why that is. That's a really interesting result. We might want to investigate if there are other people out there who might be in the same state, and maybe we could fix them. But you can right click on these and choose to remove them from the list. That's something that Windows records, and then whenever the next time you update the list, it will hand you back all of the items that had gotten removed. And what you're supposed to do is then remove those from your internal database. And that's what the code used to do. Like the existing jump list stuff does is if we take a look at Windows jump lists, I believe there is a... oh, are we already doing it? We might already be doing it. Maybe we did this last week. Clear history. Yeah, it looks like we already call it. I think we might have already figured that part out, gang. So maybe we don't have to worry about that. It looks like we already did it. I just forgot to check it off. So sorry for that confusion. I'm catching up as much as you are. I don't work on this between episodes, so I'm sort of refreshing myself as I do it. The other thing I want to do is handle reentry into build list. Build list is this async function that does some pretty intense stuff with the jump lists and the places database, and I want to make it so that we don't end up stacking up a whole lot of requests in here. If, for example, build list gets called 1,000 times, then if there's a pre-existing build list already underway, we'll just let that one complete and we'll bail out, and then we'll just catch it the next time around. That's what I'm hoping we can do here. Good, our build is done. So let's do that. Let's see if we can hack in some mechanism to handle re-entry. I've actually seen a similar mechanism. How do you do this? Oh, yeah, you can have an internal state variable. We know that this builder, for example, has some internal state variables. I think what we can do, there was one called pending statements. So it was already kind of doing this before. So what I'm going to do is building is building equals false. We'll add that, and then we'll say build list. If we're already in the midst of a prior call to build list, bail out. If this dot is building, return. And then if not, then we'll set this dot is building to true. And then we'll go through all this, and then we'll say this dot is building equals false. So that's one way of doing it. Now it's not the most reliable. In the event that something goes wrong between here and here, we might get stuck with is building set to true the whole time. So one thing we could do. It looks like it already put in a comment to do that sort of thing. So I'll just reuse that. But what I'm thinking of doing, I've used this pattern before, is I'll use what's called a try finally. So I'm going to wrap all of this stuff in a try. How do I indent? Yeah, there we go. And then finally say, hey, we're done building. And what this means is, in the event that an exception does ultimately get thrown in this try block, No matter what, like if that happens, we'll just clear this variable. We'll set it to false. Quantum says concha. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, Quantum, but I'm going to assume it's a positive message. So I feel pretty good about that. We also saw this NS error failure when we called update not long after startup. Let's see if we still see that. Let's build faster and run again with these changes. It's an emote on Twitch, says Quantum. What does it mean? Of an anime character waving hi. Oh, hello. Yeah, so to be clear, if you're using anime or like Twitch emotes or whatnot, I generally don't see them. I'm in Matrix. I'm in the Matrix, and I've bridged the Twitch chat to Matrix so I can see what you're saying. But it's coming to me just as text. So I see what you're writing as text, but whenever you use something fancy and twitchy like an emote, I just see the text version of it. And in this case, it was Concha, Koncha, and I don't even know what that means. I've generally, like, at this point in my streaming career, I understand when someone's trying to use something like that on Twitch. It's just that I am not part of Twitch culture. I don't really know what these words or phrases or emotes mean. I don't know what attitude they're attempting to convey. So apologies if I respond incorrectly. All right, let's run this thing. Am I using a custom chat client? I'm using a client called Element, which is a Matrix client, and that's how I'm connecting to Twitch. All right, so we've got our build here. Let's see, do we have any of the history in our console of like the prior? Yes, we do. We're gonna import this stuff, and we're gonna call update. Okay, so where did this NS error unexpected come from? That's what I want to know. And do subsequent calls... Now we get failure. Failure. So I want to know where that first unexpected came from. I'll also notice that, like... Oh... Maybe we can follow it. Let's start again. And see if we can determine where this stuff's coming from. Let's open up our debugger. Let's try and follow and figure out where this exception's coming from. I presume it's coming from the promise. Jump list. I guess we've got to import it. Windows. Oh, I see this sometimes where like I've got to kind of like refresh by choosing the right window. Sometimes you gotta, if you open up the debugger too quickly. There we go. Windows jump lists. I'm gonna assume that exception's being thrown. And what I'm gonna do, instead of using the browser console in one window and the toolbox in the other, I'm going to use the console in the same window. If I hit escape, I get a console at the bottom. So we'll import that. Oh, that's already imported. That's great. Win taskbar jump list. Update. Okay, and we enter here. So we haven't seen that exception yet. We're not in the process of building. We do all these things. We get our DB connection. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, we step out because we're still awaiting. Did we get any rows? We did get some rows. Okay. Or we were waiting to get a connection. We got our connection now. We're gonna get some rows. So far, no exceptions. We've got our rows. We're gonna produce our list of custom descriptions, and so that's an empty array. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Rows came back empty. Last date, execute cached, order by P last date, P title. So do we just not have any history? Is that what's happened? Somehow we don't have history? And then we're going to call this, and I'm also going to put something here. So we never called into clear history. We went right into the finally. This is where your NS error not available came from, I guess. So we called populate jump list. We passed in an empty custom descriptions. That's really interesting. Let's quickly take a look at our history in this browser profile. We have history here. How come our query here how come it returned no rows? That's my question. So let's call it again. Rows. Okay, now we did get some rows. And then do we get something? Like custom descriptions? Yeah. Is it possible that we called it too early before? Like, I wonder if now this will accept. Yeah, now we've got some removed URLs. None to remove. And then building is false. So that worked. And then we get these things. So there's like a point early on whenever it looks like this gives us nothing. So I guess one thing we need to do is make sure that if this is, and theoretically, this thing can always be called with an empty set of custom descriptions. So I guess we just need to make sure that it handles that case. Is a jump list the same as a skip list, or are those completely unrelated? I don't know. What's a skip list? Oh, a skip list is like some kind of data structure. Oh, a probabilistic data structure for average complexity. Get the best features of the sort array will maintain a linked list stuff. Skip list. A skip list is built in layers. Bottoms or a linked list. Each higher layer has an express lane to the list below. Oh, I've seen one of these before. Right. It's like fast lane. No, it is not the same. A skip list is completely unrelated. A skip list looks like a data structure that does its best to make to allow you to do efficient traversing, efficient walking of linked lists. Oh, just for search as well as insertion. Whereas a jump list, that is a Windows concept. That's this thing. This is a jump list right here. This is the jump list. Oh, we've entered here again. That's interesting. We entered here on our own. Do we have rows? Yes, we do. And there they are. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to make it easy for us to test this case. So I'm going to update our code to just pass an empty array every time. So instead of passing custom descriptions, we're going to pass in the empty array every time. Let's pretend that that's what goes on. And then let's see what falls over. I hope that answered your question, Quantum. Thanks for asking it. Let me know if you've got questions, gang. If you've got questions about what I'm doing or what's going on, just drop them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer. Okay. So I suspect that this is going to throw. We already got an NS error unexpected somehow. I wonder where that came from. Yeah, there's another NS error unexpected. So when you pass in something empty, it fails. Let's take a look at why that would be. It did answer my question. It became obvious once you tested it, but at first I was just looking at 20 lines of code and unsure what it was doing. Fair enough. The story of my life. Story of my life. Okay, let's take a look at the definition then of populate jump list, or the implementation. So here we iterate we'll ultimately end up passing an empty array, I think, over here. And what was the error that we got back? NS error unexpected. My guess is it will have to do with, like, down here whenever we start, like, build a custom collection. We'll add the object. Like, what did we used to do? Whenever there was no jump list builder. And Windows jump list. When there were no results from the places query. Handle completion, handle result, callback, get history results. There was no result. There are no more results. Build the list. Items is a mutable array. Saying build custom items. So presumably this could have been an empty array. Okay, and so what does build custom do? Build custom. If items, then it will add list to build. I see. So in the event that there are no items, then it just skips this whole thing altogether. I think we can do that. I think that's easy for us. I think we can look at the custom description length and skip all of this if there are no custom descriptions. If a custom descriptions dot length, I think we'll do this. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let's build that and see what happens. Let's see if our error message goes away. Snow's coming. Look out. Ah, what is this? Some kind of, I didn't even, just by hovering my mouse, it opens that? That's so brutal. Snow off and on now. Let's see. Where are we going to get to here? There's something else I'd like to do today that's completely unrelated. It has to do more with migration. And it's to give feedback on a patch to make it easier to import favicons, to make it possible to import favicons from Safari. Excuse me. I'd like to review this patch, and so I might do that. Excuse me. Before this episode's through. So let me just open this in a background tab here. There's a student that I'm working with who's waiting for a review, and I'd like to do that. Okay, we've got our build. Let's run and see what happens. Okay. Oh, no, hang on. Let's see. So if we don't see an NS error failure, I think we succeeded. All right. Looking good, gang. That was the problem. And so, yeah, now we don't show any items here. That's good. So now we can restore the custom descriptions. Smurfd likes it. Smurfd's like, nice. Okay, so that, I think, solves that error failure. So here's a question. How about private browsing windows? How do the icon caches work for those? How do the build lists work for those? That's a really good question. We definitely don't want to intermingle between those two things. We got to be careful. Maybe we'll do this first, because I feel like the private browsing one is going to take longer. I want to see how Thunderbird uses the jump list builder, if at all. Just to see if there's anything special we need to do for Thunderbird, or to prevent ourselves from breaking Thunderbird. So Thunderbird is also available in SearchFox, our code review our code searching tool, but it's under a directory, a special repository called Com Central. And what I'm looking for is jump list builder. So they have something under Windows jump lists as well. Like, they have a copy of ours, but they have their own. I think this is the one that they're using. Windows jump list.jsm. So let's take a look and see how they use it. I'm gonna guess that they use it in the exact same way. Yeah. Yeah, they just run startup on it, and then here's your tasks. So see, I think we can make Thunderbirds so much simpler as well. Like, they'll also get the advantage because it's already a simpler implementation. So we don't have to do all these hoops of starting the build, initting the build, committing the build, aborting the build, like all these things. We can just like call into the API and be done with it. They don't show, I think, what do they do? Populate, they have G tasks, they build tasks. I don't think they do any custom things. No, they don't add any custom elements. It's just the default, like, hey, here are the tasks of, like, let's compose a message or open the address book. That's it. So they'll take advantage of this as well. See how Thunderbird uses it. It's a simple usage. They don't have any custom items. Oh, I guess that means that we have to, like, account for the possibility. Like, we we threw an exception if the custom title is empty. And yet, sometimes okay, here's what I think we should do. If custom title is empty and a custom descriptions dot length, we only want to throw an exception here in the event that the user has, like, we've supplied some descriptions. Only then will we throw an error if the custom title is empty. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see. Oh, winter upgraded to winter storm. Should look outside. Oh man. Boop 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 boop. Winter storm warning. Boop 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 boop. Toronto. Stay safe, everybody. Man, this is a as an alert. See, this is good. Just looking at Thunderbird, we were able to sort of like suss out another requirement here, which is that sometimes we don't want to pass in that custom list, and we need to be okay with that. Snow in the winter, weird. Yeah, I know. It's been a remarkably like non-snowy winter. That's not to say it hasn't been cold. It's been cold certainly in Toronto. I say that especially because I'm sitting in a basement right now and it's freezing down here. I've gotten very used to being cold at work. I just put on sweaters. But yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot of snow. There's been a little bit. There's been flurries, but it doesn't stick around. I've only shoveled the sidewalk like 3 times this winter, which is unusual. My phone is going off. Let me just silence that real quick. Sorry, gang. All right. Right. Well, actually, I want to test that scenario now. I want to make it so that I can pass in nothing, the empty string, and an empty array. Smurfy was kind of mocking the alert. Oh yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have just like explained your joke. I apologize. All right. Here we go. So it's into it. Now, what if I say builder populate jump list when taskbar jump list dot builder dot tasks. And then I'm going to say foobar, and then the empty array. I want this to throw an exception. Missing, oh. Fallback icon index 0. It wants. Oh, right. Okay. Let's just do that then. We're just gonna call it from here. We'll say await this dot builder populate jump list task descriptions and then we're gonna say foobar, and then or no, we're gonna pass in the empty string, but then we're gonna pass in some rows, custom descriptions. This should throw an exception. Oh, Biddler. I meant builder, gang. Biddler. This should throw as error illegal value. Yes. And then whenever I put in like test, that should work. Yeah. I like it. Play. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I feel good about that. So we're going to put those default arguments back. So that'll help for Thunderbird. So we can knock that off the list here. We just have to support. We should support that case. How about private browsing windows? Yeah, let's look into that. So my understanding is that there are two separate builders. And how does the existing implementation differentiate and behave differently on the builders? Like it creates a new instance and the whole PB builder we create a jump list builder and then we say true. Is there any other difference there? So there's a second argument here. We say false and false in this constructor. What is the builder constructor? What? Constructor. What does that mean? What does it mean to pass these different arguments? These are fully ignored. Builder. What do these arguments mean? We pass them. Is it used in a different way? Constructor, builder. It doesn't look like it actually uses those arguments to do anything. What's that about? Okay, so let's ignore those, but we might just want to remove those. The fact that something is a jump list builder, like the PB builder, we pass true whenever we call create jump list builder. Tasks frequent recent. Maybe that is what it means. Tasks frequent recent. Except that it doesn't do anything with them. Like it's maybe one day there was a time. Maybe there was a time when it would pay attention to those args. Let's take a look at the changes here. Builder, class builder. Nope. Show the annotated diff. They added this. And also refresh press. Yeah, they constructed it. That doesn't make sense. I think these are just fully ignored. We don't use arguments to try and get at them. I think that was just something that people missed. Like maybe you're right. Maybe it was tasks frequent recent, but it's ultimately prefs that control them. And how does that work? Yeah. Refresh prefs for the builder. False, false, 0. Show tasks only relevant. Explicitly disabled. Okay, we don't show frequent or recent entries for the private browsing one. Okay. That is useful to know. So that actually is how we're gonna make, like, we will make use of that. We'll make use of that. So refresh prefs does what? Is like show these things, and yeah, I guess this is what we need to like. We need to pay attention to these. So say if we don't show frequent, if we don't show anything, then we just get out of there. When would show tasks be false? There's a preference. Tasks enabled. So maybe we also have to support that. Can we pass in no tasks? That's important to know. What happens if I pass in the empty array here? We might have to support this as well. So yeah, Crushed Optimist, I think you were right. Tasks, frequent, recent. Good call. So now it's snow off and on. I don't think the weather knows what it wants to be. What do you want? What do you want? Okay. Update. Yeah, it does not like that. That's error failure. Okay, so we need to adjust our code here to account for the possibility of an empty list here. So descriptions, task descriptions, then over here, begin list. And then we only want to do this if task descriptions.length. This should probably go inside here. Whoop. Oh. Okay. I'm curious to know what happens if we don't do either of those and call commit list. So let's actually build this and find out. While we're waiting for that to build, yeah, Safari favicon import. Let's sort of think about what's going on in here. So I've reviewed this a couple of different times, and the way it works is kind of interesting because of the way Safari stores favicons, which we kind of had to reverse engineer. There's an SQLite database, and from that we can look up like URI mappings to these special IDs, and then those IDs map to files, the actual favicon files, which are just files on the disk. But we had to realize that we had to like MD5 hash the IDs to produce the favicon file name. It was like really circuitous and bizarre, and good old Apple. Anyways, let's see here. Start the migration of the Safari collection by retrieving favicon data. And then we migrate the root data. First, try to get the favicon data of a user's bookmarks. In Safari, favicons are stored as files with a unique name, the MD5 hash of the UID. Thus, we create a map of bookmark URLs of favicons. Yes, that's the right call. We start with the mapping. We need to learn which favicons. We pull out all the favicons and we get rows from the database. We figure out a mapping of UUID to the data. Then we migrate the collection. Yeah, that makes sense. And we pass in the mapping each time, because what we're gonna do when we finally migrate these things is we convert the entries that got pulled out, and then we're going to insert those into the database favicons. For each entry, we get the URL, we try and find the file, we read the data out of the favicon file, we push it into favicons array, and then the nesting. This is a recursion thing. So I really want to test this personally. I want to like run this through some paces. The good news is that I think Alvin, who wrote this, has done a good job of. I think he wrote an automated test for this. And I'm eager to see. Oh, food and travel. Should put 14 items. Check the favicons migrated. Let's get rows with the See, this is just checking to see that the favicons are in the database. Assert favicons. Oh, I see. For each one, we get the favicon. We ask places to see if a favicon exists, and if so, we resolve. Okay, I see what you're doing. He's going through the database and making sure they all got inserted. Okay, interesting. We'll give that a look. But first, let's go back to what we were doing over here. Okay. We're gonna turn off. We're gonna import this stuff. Let's call jump list update instead of breakpoint here, and we'll say await this dot builder populate, not Biddler, builder. Populate jump list empty and empty. Does that work? Works. And then what if I pass it the task descriptions? And then blah, 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 and then pass it the custom descriptions. And then what happens if I pass it no task descriptions? Hey, all right. All right, I think we're in good shape. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start paying attention to those prefs now. Over here in Windows jump lists, in the event that the we're not configured to show tasks, then task descriptions we're not going to populate. So what we'll do is we'll start out task descriptions as the empty array, and then if this dot show tasks, then we're going to map. Wait, what? Yeah, we're going to then set task descriptions. And then, yeah, if this dot show frequent, we don't support show recent. Let custom descriptions equals that. Let custom title equals the empty string. So custom title. Custom title equals that. Custom descriptions equals that. So if show frequent is enabled, then we do these things. Okay. So what that should mean is that we won't show the only recent defaults to false. Yes, and we're not actually showing recent. Like, we're, to be clear, Crushed Optimist, we're I'm making an intentional choice to not support the recent configuration, because it's like we haven't had that on by default ever. And maybe if someday we want to show recent instead, I'll build it out. But for now, we're just showing frequent. If it's enabled. That's presuming I'm fully understanding what you're saying. PB Builder. Fresh prefs, false, false. Show tasks, but then false, and then 0. Yeah. Oh, so weird. Okay, so we should see frequent over here. Let's get our tasks showing up. I think we need to do this. Get it to actually flush the state. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open up our private browsing window. There's tasks. And then we're going to open a debugger for this window, or a console rather, in taskbar. I guess I didn't have to do it that way, but like, yeah, tasks over here, frequent over here. Hey, we're in good shape. Now let's see if what happens if we turn off the tasks preference. List tasks enabled, false. Tasks go away. Turn them back on. Tasks come back. Recent. Oh, sorry. Recent is not supported. Frequent. Frequent goes away. Let's turn tasks off. Hey, I feel pretty good about this, gang. Woo! All right. And yeah, we're just gonna ignore. We're gonna ignore the other one. So I feel pretty good about that. All right, tests. We have come. It has come to this. Let's now commit what we've got. Make sure we haven't got any like to-dos or printfs or something. Is building. Yada yada yada. Oh, we've got some trailing space there. We'll get rid of those in a sec. That looks okay. All right. Okay. Let us now commit this, or amend our commit. We had written out sort of an outline of a testing plan. I had said, let's update Win Taskbar to have a new method. Oh, I got a tea delivery, gang. Oh, tea. Thank you so much, anonymous tea deliverer. I got tea delivery. Look at this. Look at this. You seen that? What service? Thank you so much. Let's update Win Taskbar to have a new method that can be accessed from native codes, not through XBCOM, called like do create jump list builder or something. Have it take an argument that is a reference to something that implements the jump list manager interface. Have jump list builder move that thing to the background thread. And the background thread owns it. Then in our tests, have our G test called do create jump list builder, passing it something that mocks out jump list manager, and then call its populate jump list method for testing. Edge and Chrome show recent and jump list, says Crushed Optimist. Cool. We don't. We show frequent. But that's an interesting observation, Crushed Optimist. So we did this too. We're at the bottom of our list, gang. Just thinking about this. So do we want something that's like a jump list manager class, an abstract class? I'm just trying to think about how we would do this. Just gonna write some things down here. A jump list manager, like an abstract class. What the heck? And then we two implementations. One is the real one that wraps. What is it called? Jump lists. custom destination list. It wraps one of these things. And then fake one that allows us to interrogate it for things it has been passed for testing. So what do we do with Jump List Manager? We ensure that it exists, and then we'll call things like set app ID. So this thing needs to have something called set app ID on it, which takes, I guess, a string. What else do we do with it? We don't need this anymore. Oh shoot, how are we gonna do this while keeping the old one? Keep the old one working. I really don't want to disturb the old mechanism. I want to remove the old mechanism eventually. So I wonder if what we could do is only use our special wrapper class here in populate jump list and don't use it anywhere else. Is that plausible? So we'd only use it it here. We'd say begin list on it, and we get out a thing that's like an array. Collection. And then we call add object on it, and then we would say add user tasks on it. Oh, this is the out stuff. Okay. So you'd want it to return some kind of like object array. And maybe we can construct one of these, like maybe there's a way we can like do that ourselves. And then we need to be able to call add user tasks on it. And append category on it and commit list. So Oh, do we need that one? Void. Let's go back to the top here. We need to be able to say begin list. And it returns an H result. We need to be able to call add user tasks. It's also an H result. And append category. Also returns an H result. And then commit list. Okay. That's one way of testing this. That's going to test the back end. We're going to be able to test this in parts. We can test the back end with a G-test. And then we'll test the scripting here. And what we can do is we can mock this out to return some kind of special object for which we mock out or we prepare, we like wrap it or something. That is easier to do in JavaScript, or we can like stub out some stuff and override some functions. The populate jump list part in particular, and the obtain and cache favicon part. So we'll save that for later. I think these are the pieces that we need from the... I don't actually think we need set app ID. Do we? Actually, I think we do. Who calls it? Who calls it? Who calls set app ID? And set app user model ID. Who calls that? Here, when we can create it. So we still need to be able to do that. Okay. We had originally made this off main thread. We might want to do that again someday. That way we can get rid of some of those locks. The good news is this only happens once. Okay. So I think these are all the things we need. Begin list, add user tasks, append category, and commit list. If we can construct something like that and then wrap, we'll have two, that'll be an abstract one. Then we'll have like the real one that will wrap one of these and just forward the arguments on. And then the other one, how will the fake one work? Begin list. What does begin list do again? It wants to get an out param. So wants to be prepared to provide an out param of which is an NSI object array, or just an I object array, not NSI object array. Now, can we create those things on our own? Can I create one? Object array. It looks like I can like query interface a collection, and a collection I can create like this. So yes, I think I can do that and just query interface it to an I object array. Yeah, like this. Okay, that's straightforward. We can do that by creating a collection, an empty collection. Or a collection that, like, we want to be able to, what do we do with the object array is we'll like remove, what do we do with the object array? Do we like convert it into anything? We get how many things are in it, and then we try and get the shell link. Oh. So we'd have to like create a shell link for each one that if we want to simulate removals. Smurf D says a good start must be to have a pref that you can flip to enable the new or old feature. Well, yeah, I mean, like, I presume what you're talking about is like the newer old backends, and we do have a pref for that, so that's good. Creating an empty collection. Tiz Den John says, I saw that chat was disabled on YouTube. Any specific reason? Yes, because I don't know how to bridge that to Matrix, so I wouldn't be able to watch it. If you yourself know how I could bridge YouTube chat to Matrix, let me know, and then we can try and I can turn it on. Let's be prepared to have no param. Like, how do you want to like gmocking? Can you get it to always? You can prepare something with a function that will return shell links. If we always run these tests on Windows, we can create a collection of shell links. I think that's possible. Or a collection that returns shell links. And then add user tasks. We want this to just take an array, takes an array of tasks, and returns an H result, we can then examine what was passed. Append category. Takes a string. It's like a string and a collection. This is a collection. Out param. Max items and out param collection or object array. String collection takes a string and collection for the custom lists. Custom list. And then commit list just returns an H result. So it's really these two that we care the most about, or these three rather. Commit list is like a no-op in our test. It's just a way for we can just like presume that it got called, or like we should test that it got called. Okay. Let's do this. How do we do this? We're gonna create an abstract class under jump list builder. We'll call it class jump list manager. And how do I make an abstract class in C++ again? How do I do this? What in the world? No. Interfaces, abstract classes. Class, public, virtual, right. We're an abstract class. It's virtual void show, and then derived public void. Right, virtual. That's how you do it. Okay. Virtual H result. What does our interface look like? H result, begin list. Does it know what an H result is in here? I hope so. H result, begin list, and begin list. What is the jump list? Or jump list. Begin list. Here, custom destination list, begin list. uint PC min slots. And then void. We're just going to copy the interface here and see what happens. Add user tasks, virtual H result. Virtual H result. Add user tasks. What does that look like? In iObjectArray. Virtual H result. Add append category. And then Commit list. Commit list. Commit list. Takes nothing. Okay. Now, will this build? Will it know what I'm talking about with these things? Let's find out. Nothing is implementing any of that stuff. Wants a semicolon. Great. Now I'm curious too, like YouTube chat, bridge, Matrix. A bridge between Matrix and YouTube live streaming chat. Oh, that's on the wish list. It's on a wish list. YouTube chat, Matrix. Matrix. What's it called? Bridge or Twitch. Twitch chat. Combine YouTube and Twitch chat. What does this person say? Oh. I got a feeling it's just like, hey, how to have all of the chats up on the same at the same time. What do they want you to do? Embed in the stream. It's Twitch. Like, what does it look like? Show me what it looks like. You're using the wrong browser, Chief. All right. Oh, you could you use Restream to? Is Twitch talking to YouTube then? Is this Twitch? I don't know what I'm looking at. I do use Restream. Maybe there's something I can use from there. Building roller coaster. Yeah, and connected. How did that chat come up? What did you do? Is this chat window always here? And then like zoom. I say hello to a tutorial. Right now is. Oh, okay. So it all ends up going through Restream. So it's not really bridged. It's more like you don't get this. I don't think you get the single spot. I think you get the you just get like signals that people are interested in talking to you. Okay, hold on. Jumplessbuilder.h. What did I do wrong this time? I did that. Did I? Oh, did I not build again? Sorry, I've gone quiet for a second there. I probably shouldn't have done that. This looks like the build is going okay. What I think I want to do now is maybe call this jump list manager base, and then class jump list manager, and then have this inherit from jump list manager base, and then also have it the constructor. Well, it'll be virtual. Have it accept the agile reference guarded by M monitor. I think we want the same monitor. I think. I don't know. Jump list manager, agile reference. Jump list manager. Custom destination list. We'll have that be a thing that maybe can just be passed through like that. And then the reentrant monitor. Can you pass a monitor as an argument? Should you? Yes. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Reentrant monitor. And public private. We're gonna override these methods. How did we you just concrete the derive, you say like h result begin list. We're gonna just copy these. And what we'll do is we'll just forward this. Forward this. I think we're going to be doing this a lot. Equals M jump list manager. We should get the lock. How does that work? Yeah. Basically this. We should return, I don't know what we return, some kind of like error message there. return 1 to do. Otherwise we get the jump list manager and we'll call and we'll just pass the arguments. Right? Does that make sense? What does it not like about this? Oh, well, jump list manager, begin list. That's what it doesn't like. It's no longer virtual. Log. And then we say add user tasks. And then append category. I think this will work. I don't actually know. But we can find out. Append category. We're just going to forward it all along. Commit list. Just gonna what does it think of that? How does this work over here? Jump list manager. Create instance. Yeah, okay. Jump list manager equals jump list manager. Which is whatever we passed it. Okay. Monitor equals a reentrant monitor. Does that work? Oh, I might have to reference to it. Let's see. Will this compile? I think we're just going to see if this compiles, and then we'll call the episode there. It might not compile. I'm still going to end the episode. But we're in an interesting spot. We're in an interesting spot where we've got something that seems to work pretty well. And we're starting to verge on something that can theoretically be tested. Hates it. Hates it because, hold on, because, before we bail out, it hates it because it doesn't know what a reentrant monitor is. Because I spelled it wrong. Rentrant. Let's try that again. I can't resist. Let's try it one more time. And then we'll end it. I do think this is not going to work. At least not. It's not going to build this iteration, but we're going to figure it out. It is unfortunate that the way that this is designed, we're going to be taking a lock for each of these calls. Didn't it understand that this is what you meant? Yeah, come on, C++. Get it together. Still doesn't like it because it has a default private constructor. Oh. Oh, we're gonna have to look into this later. Private here. No viable overload. Okay, we'll look into that next week. Thank you so much for watching The Joy of Coding episode 317. I hope that was interesting. Let me know what you thought. There's a link in here to rate the episode. I am eager to hear what you think, how things are going. I read everything that comes in. I want to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.